The email came through while I was still in the Uber, 5 blocks from home. Subject line, effective, immediately body. Your security clearance has been downgraded to level 2 access until further review. Do not initiate any outbound data transmissions. I blinked. Once, twice. My hands stayed still in my lap, but my breath betrayed me. Short, cold, sharp. They were locking me out. No explanation, no context, just silence, like a gun with no trigger sound, only aftermath. And still, I had to show up to dinner like nothing was wrong, because tonight was a celebration, my mother's words, not mine. The house looked the same, perfectly staged like a recruitment ad, crystal glasses on polished wood, framed metals catching the chandelier light, Ryan's new promotion photo already mounted on the wall. Mine? There was no wall space left for ghosts. Dad stood at the head of the table, back ramrod straight even in retirement. Commander Richard Marlowe didn't age, he just calcified. Across from him was Ryan, glowing with charm and medals. Aviation pin on his lapel, hair still damp from the barber's chair. Mom fluttered between kitchen and table like a peacekeeper under siege. I sat down in my civilian jacket. No insignia, no invitation to speak. So, Ryan said, half smirking, how's the digital war going? I gave him a neutral smile. Still fighting, just different enemies. Dad cut into his steak. Fighting? That's generous. Typing into a screen while real soldiers bleed. Dad, Mom warned. I didn't flinch. I go where they need me. I work blackline comms, foreign intercepts, predictive AI for hostile maneuvers. I don't need a rifle to serve. He leaned forward. You work for a joint command coalition, don't you? Yes. Humanitarian focused, but we also handle rogue fleet surveillance. He dropped his fork, slow and theatrical. So, you're handing U.S. intelligence to foreign agendas. No, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm protecting people. Sometimes they aren't American. But that doesn't make them less worth saving. Ryan looked down at his plate. Mom smiled too wide. Let's not get into this again. Dad raised his glass. To Ryan, a real officer, a man who remembers which country he swore to. The table was silent. I got up. Excuse me. No one stopped me. No one called out. That night, I slept in my childhood room, walls still lined with math ribbons and soldered radio kits. But nothing fit anymore. Not the air, not the silence, not even me. At dawn, I left a note on the counter. Safe flight. See you when it matters. 2 months later, I sent a letter home. Not an email. A real letter, pen on paper. Describing the feel of salt spray at 3:12 a.m., the sound of encrypted frequencies brushing past like ghosts. I included a photo, me in partial uniform, standing on the edge of a carrier deck, ocean bleeding into sky. No one replied. One day, I asked Mom during our scheduled voice call if Ryan had said anything. Her voice turned vague. You know your brother. Busy. But in the background, I heard Dad, unfiltered, dismissive. Let her write poems to the enemy. The same man who once taught me how to hold a compass. The irony? I was still protecting them every damn day. I didn't send another letter, but I did start saving everything. Every clean intercept, every field note, every backup thread that proved I followed protocol. Because something inside me whispered, if they ever try to erase you, make sure they have to dig deep. And someday, I'd make them. If Bantung bibokwason hung kogang het min, hi type 1. I promise, you're not alone. That's not your name on the report. The words landed like a slap as I stared at the flat screen in the ops room. My report, my encrypted intercept log on the Lisbon chatter leak, was now published under someone else's name. Amanda Chose, my coworker, the one who once cried over coffee because she couldn't decrypt a packet in time. She stood behind me, calm, smug, arms folded like a prize winner. I only polished what you started, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You were on reassignment, Claire. The chain needed clarity. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My hands curled into fists, blood pounding in my ears. Not only had they sidelined me, Now they were scrubbing me out of my own work. After the Gideon incident, when I saved a vessel no one was supposed to find, I hadn't asked for credit. I sent the ghost coordinates unsigned, off-grid, through an untraceable relay. I didn't want praise, I wanted results. And yet, now a press briefing was held. Amanda was there, nodding solemnly as the director praised her swift, decisive action that prevented a diplomatic breach. I watched from a storage office the size of a closet. They'd moved me to a defunct vessel weeks earlier. Low risk, cold bunk, flickering lights. "You're still mission aligned," they said. "Just reassigned for review." Translation: "You're too hot to fire, too dangerous to trust." I kept working, quietly, alone. Until one night my screen lit up. Incoming irregular pattern. Vessel, the Athena. Status, offline. Location, classified. I sat up straighter. The Athena was never supposed to be on frontline routes. It was a mobile archive, a dead traffic carrier, hauling declassified comm backups and a handful of civilian observers. No distress call, just a blackout. Complete. I checked timestamps, radio jamming patterns, power cuts, code traces. It wasn't random. It was a hit. I opened my old blackline folder, the unauthorized protocol I'd built back when I still mattered. Inside was the ghost map, a dangerous, unofficial route cataloged between dormant minefields and abandoned sonar nets. No one used it. No one even believed it was real. I tweaked the coordinates, filtered through updated sonar overlays, and sent them, unsigned. The next morning, someone knocked on my door. A junior officer, breathless. "They made it through," he said. "No one knows how." He looked at me. "I think someone gave them a map." He didn't press, just saluted. The gesture nearly broke me. 2 days later, I was called into a black site debrief room. Rear Admiral Sylvia Vance sat across from me, calm, watchful. "You saved 128 lives," she said. "You disobeyed the chain, bypassed the protocol, but you did it with data, clean, precise, effective." "I followed the math, ma'am," I answered. She nodded. "They're calling it the ghost maneuver. It's going into doctrine." I felt nothing. Relief? Bitterness? I wasn't sure anymore. Then she added, "You'll be cleared, but quietly. The system won't apologize. It'll just forget. Eventually." Later that week, my mother sent me a message. "We saw the news. No apology, no question. Just we saw, like that counted." And then, a voicemail. "Ryan." His voice cracked, lower than I remembered. "I should have backed you. I didn't. I thought Dad was right, but I was scared. You know how he is." A pause. "I'm sorry. Come home, even if it's just for a night." The next day I got the call. Mechanical failure, night op, no survivors. Ryan was gone. I stood there holding the phone, heart heavy with everything unsaid. But I knew one thing now. They erased my name once. They won't get to do it again. If you've ever watched someone else take credit for what you bled for, type 2. And remember, ghosts don't stay invisible forever. The lights went out all at once. No flicker, no warning, just instant black. Every console aboard the Athena, dead. Backups, comms, satellites, failover relays, offline. The emergency glow cast dim halos in the navigation bay, just enough for me to see the look on the captain's face. Panic disguised as protocol. He barked, "Diagnostics, external scans, manual override." The crew scattered, slamming buttons that wouldn't respond. And I just stood there, frozen. Not because I didn't know what was happening, but because I did. It was a coordinated cyber blackout, military grade, the kind I once traced to a ghost faction that didn't officially exist. The Athena was not built for this. It carried archival data, international observers, and one civilian tech who brought us cookies on departure day. And now we were adrift, in hostile waters, utterly exposed. "We're not going to make it," a young ensign muttered near me. I heard my voice before I even registered the thought. "Yes, we will, but we'll have to ghost it." The captain turned to me. "Ghost what?" "There's a route. Not on any sanctioned map. I built it 2 years ago during Project Drift. Decommissioned minefields, blind sonar zones, decaying radar loops. Nobody uses it because nobody knows it's real. His eyes narrowed. You're telling me you have a map? In your head? I nodded. It's our only way out. He hesitated just long enough for me to wonder if he'd refuse. Then, take the helm. The silence after that sentence was louder than the blackout. I slid into the pilot seat, pulled a grease-stained paper from my inner pocket, my old notes, the map I was never allowed to submit. Cut all non-essential power, I said. Dump weight. Prep for tight maneuvering. The corridor was less a path and more a thread across a blade. We moved inch by inch through metal graveyards, forgotten towers rusting in the water like teeth. One wrong shift, and the whole ship would vanish beneath the surface. Midway through, we scraped something, a submerged obstruction. Sparks flew, someone screamed. I gritted my jaw. Maintain course, 2 degrees east, now. We passed the trench gate on minute 174. No radar, no visual, just instinct. And then, ping, comms rebooted. The nav screen lit up. We were out, 128 souls, alive. I collapsed into the corridor, palms bloodied from gripping the console. 2 hours later, the captain called the crew to order. He stood in front of them, voice tight with emotion. This crew survived because one woman held the line. He stepped aside. Rear Admiral Sylvia Vance appeared on the main screen. Lieutenant Claire Marlowe, she said, eyes steady. You just completed what's now being called the most precise, unsanctioned navigation in modern fleet history. She paused, then saluted. And one by one, every officer followed, even the civilian tech, voice shaking. I cried. I didn't care who saw. The promotion came via sterile email. No press, no photos. But the inbox lit up anyway. Messages from strangers. You're the one who got them home, right? You didn't blink. And then one message from Admiral Vance. You're on the public commendation docket. This time, we name you. I stared at the ceremony invitation for days. Blank spaces for 6 guest names. I wrote nothing. Until one morning, I opened Ryan's last voicemail again. Even if it's just for a night. I sent my mother a message. Ceremony's in 3 weeks. You can come if you want. I'll leave your name at the gate. She didn't reply, but she showed up. So did my father. When Admiral Vance pinned the medal to my uniform, the room fell silent. And then, from the front row, my father stood, back straight, hand raised in salute. No words. But I didn't need them. I returned the salute, and in that moment, I knew. They could erase my name from a system, but never from history. If you've ever been called a traitor just for taking a different route, but still brought everyone home, type 3. Because sometimes, ghosts leave maps behind.